What you listening to, son?
With really invasive questions about their body. I'm not sure, is Avery a girl or a boy? I don't know. But in terms of how they identify girl, about her body. So let's just, it's pretty uncomfortable. Just take a look.
You're in the ladies' room, and then you realize somebody else is in there doesn't have has a male body instead of a female's body. I mean, it just causes some issues there.
No, it doesn't. You should let people go to the bathroom. No one's there. You've seen this thing.
Well, they probably don't realize.
Yeah, exactly.
That's because you have those long hair and that's been.
Right.
You're gonna go through the procedure.
You think we're going around forcing our genitalia in people's face? We're trying to go to the bathroom, and what you want to do is not let people do that? Your whole argument here is the fact that you don't want people to use a bathroom with no one. Yes, no one is looking at your genitals.
I was seriously just curious.
On public record about genitals, and if people would see that, how would anyone know? We have been coming for 7 years trying to help people understand, and I know this is off topic and it didn't make anybody.
Okay, pause it. I'm sorry. So, I mean, first of all, then the way she's basically rolling her eyes and falling back in her chair as if, I mean, this girl's being ridiculous.
What's known as Karen mode.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. She's slipping into that. But the concept that you would ask a 14-year-old girl about her genitals in this very public way is so ridiculous. But it's also so revealing about how many of these conservatives, like their psychology, they're so sexually repressed themselves that they find like this stuff in their world fascinating and almost, I don't want to say titillating, but they're inappropriate because they have a very tentative connection or understanding of their own sexuality. And so
yeah, true. No, absolutely. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Conservatives are so repressed and are so self-constraining and self-restricting that when they encounter another person, trans or not, gay or not, who is more liberated in their sexuality or in their gender identity, it's like, I would say that it's kind of like they're fascinated, right? But it's not fascination from a scientific view. It's not like you're trying to learn something here. It's more like a sick fascination, like you're going to a zoo. But it's like a zoo where like every like observation point, is one of that elicits disgust. And yet at the same time, a curiosity that is way too, like, what makes you think it's okay to ask a 14-year-old, trans or not, about their genitals? What goes through your mind to make you think that that's an okay thing to do? Creepy conservatives asking about someone's junk, bunch of ancient transphobes with too much yeah. Okay. So, I'm going to say some shit. Hear me out. All of this shit all comes down to the fact that conservatives like this come at trans identity, the concept of it, from a completely biblical point of view. All of this anti-normal sexuality and anti-normal gender expression, it all comes down to not morality, not ethics, right? Because I've met plenty of ethical and moral atheist people. So it's not so much that, because you can get that anywhere so long as you're an emotionally receptive and good person. This comes from a script that is constantly being rolled in their heads. A movie that's always being played. And this movie is a biblically inspired and reinforced kind of mental production where all that they're seeing is all that they've been taught. And I know this because I was raised with the same script. The script goes, according to the Bible, there's a certain set of standards that makes a human being the ideal human being. Made in the image of God, if you want to try to interpret it like that. With this interpretation in mind, anything that is remotely branched off, for lack of a better term, I can't think of anything else. I can't think of another way to put it. I was going to say derailed from the, traditionally speaking, ideal human being as they perceive it, and they perceive it through a biblical lens. It's not just this trans person wants to go use the bathroom. There's an ulterior motive behind it. They got to be up to something. There's a conspiracy here. These trans people, they're not adhering to the natural order. They're not adhering to God's law. They're not adhering to our perception of what makes an ideal human being. They are not adhering to being the image of God. They're up to something. They are up to something, and they don't want to admit it. How many times have we seen or heard of homophobic Republican politicians or figures of some sort on the right? And then it comes out later that they just got back from the fucking Philippines or some shit. And they caught in 4K, coke-fueled sex orgy with like underage boys or some shit. How many fucking times have we heard this shit? They always go after gay and trans or non-cis het people, thinking that they have an ulterior motive because they are not adhering to what they perceive to be the natural way. No, you can't. You can't go to the same bathroom as our daughters who were like born with a vagina, right? Because you might end up fucking them or something. And I guarantee that comes from a place, here it comes, I guarantee that comes from a place of a kind of sin that perhaps they want to commit themselves. And the desire to upkeep reputation is the only thing that probably keeps them from committing that. I'll just say it. Their hatred and adversity for trans people, let alone trans kids, comes from a place of they want to fuck kids. Why are they so interested in kids' junk? Why? Their God, their Bible, you look into that shit, how many fucking verses in both the Old and the New Testament where it is so fixated, these plot points of these holy crusaders going into these villages of these non-believers and heretics and heathens and blasphemers, and they go in there and God says, take these virgins for your own. You are pre-forgiven and you will go to the kingdom of heaven even though you totally raped a kid, maybe even 15 of them, while burning down their homes around them. I sanction this in the name of my divine authority. That mentality. If we're going to talk about generational trauma with other issues, we also got to talk about generational tyrannical mindsets, to where possibly, potentially, this is a thing that is passed down, not just in teaching, not just in malevolent education, if you will, but like actually passed down. This shit has been going on for a long fucking time. I swear to God. These people are hardwired at this point to fucking orgasm from misery. They are psychopaths. There's like 10% of them that are probably actually good people. The rest of them? No. Don't care how many dollars you give to charity. Don't care how many soup kitchens you volunteer at. You got a problem with gay kids and trans kids to a point where where like their genitals are a fixation for the safety of your kids? You ain't safe around your kids. Any conservative parent who is overly religious and is anti-gay and anti-trans should be taken away or have their kids taken away from them. They are not safe to their kids. Their kids are not safe from them.
They're projecting constantly with these questions.
We should say the woman who is saying who's sitting next to Avery is Avery's mom, Debbie Jackson, and she's. You should go over and you can find her at _Debbie Jackson. And well, let's finish the other video and then we can go to that.
But she has like a explainer.
There's another one
that dispels some myths about
and how
what transitioning
happened
is
with her child, and you know how she was situated when this happened.
Yeah, her daughter who transitioned from male to female when she was 4 years old.
I know this is off topic and you didn't mean anything by it, but that's the point. Kids aren't going around exposing themselves. Kids are wanting to play sports with their friends. That's what this bill is. And getting wrapped up in genitals in bathrooms gets us so far away from that, and it dehumanizes our children. My child is so much more than genitals. And that's what I need you to see. That's what every family who has come in here year after year is begging you, demanding that you see.
That's the other thing too. Let's get down to brass tacks even further. Anti-trans woman sentiment is inherently misogynist. Period. 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 You want to be a real fucking feminist? Then you be pro-trans women. Well, pro-trans period. But is that it's inherently a thought process that makes women, what makes you a woman is your vagina. And that's it. And that's just not true. Of course, they are people. They are people. They are people. They are human beings like everyone else. To a certain extent, I'm glad that this shit's kind of happening because it's making them go mask off. We can't let them go to the same bathrooms as our cis het girls. They don't have a vagina. Oh. So what makes a girl then? Their vagina? Well, no, I'm not saying that. But you are though. But you are. Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Being a woman is so much more than what's between my legs. Oh, is that so? So what's the problem here? What's the problem? What's your issue? They disgust you because you're disgusting.
I don't know what your genitals are. I have not made an assumption, and I'm not willing to ask that question because it's highly inappropriate.
It's especially appropriate to ask it of a 14-year-old child.
It's just so, it's just, it shows that they're so blinded by their, like you say, like their own ignorance or titillation or fascination that it really is about ignorance. Like, is it really more comforting for you as a state lawmaker, or anybody for that matter, to know what the genitals are of the person in a closed stall
Next to you?
Like,
Right.
is it really, like, is that the way that you're going to get some sense of security?
Like, as if, like, you know, the moment that a trans girl fucking sits down on the toilet, you know, in their high school bathroom or some shit, and they pull down their pants and they sit down to go, like, take a shit or something, like, their dick's just gonna flop out and roll over to the next stall and, you know, next to them. Like, come the fuck on, dude.
If there are testicles in the stall next to me, or if there's a vagina in the stall next to me, one of those two things will determine how comfortable I am.
Well, it determines, you know, how quickly your stream is going to come. I'm sorry.
I mean, honestly, it's just
so silly.
Let's play the first minute of this video.
I'm the mom of a little girl called AJ, who was recently profiled in the Kansas City Star. As surprised as I was to find my family in the paper, I'm also incredibly proud. My daughter is 6 years old. She transitioned, which means she changed her outward appearance from male to female and started living full-time as her true gender when she was 4. Until that point, she was quite a rough and tumble little boy with a buzz cut and a shark tooth necklace. But when she was 3, she asked her dad and I if we could buy her a princess dress. We didn't buy the dress. We thought she might be going through a stage of liking bright or sparkly things and didn't want to waste money on something she would grow bored of in a week. But she kept asking, and I found out that she had a favorite princess dress she wore at daycare. What the heck, we thought, and we took her to the store to pick one out. Things didn't stop there. Over the next few months, she started to wear that dress every single minute that she was at home. And then she asked for more. Dresses, nightgowns, headbands, sparkly pink shoes, and eventually even girls' underwear. We allowed some of those things, but we drew the line at the undies. There were just some things we weren't comfortable with during this phase. But then I noticed her pushing down on her genitals a lot, and I asked her what was wrong. Not having those parts, I assumed she might have a rash and was itchy, but her answer shocked me. She said that they bothered her and were in the way. She wanted them gone.
Oh, wow.
Thank God for Google, because I immediately jumped on the computer and typed in a search. 4-year-old boy says genitals should be gone. What came back was a very short list of results, but they all pointed to one thing. My child might be transgender. I had never even heard the word transgender before and really didn't know what to think. We made an appointment with our pediatrician. She recommended a child psychologist. But before we could even get an appointment, my daughter, then my 4-year-old son, said these words to me. Mom, you know I'm really a girl, right? I'm a girl on the inside.
Oh.
That moment changed my life. In the following months, she became more insistent. We saw the psychologist and an endocrinologist to make sure there wasn't a hidden medical issue. She became more determined to express herself by wearing those pink sparkly shoes to daycare. She wanted to go out for ice cream in a fairy dress and wings. Eventually, we couldn't hold her back. She was showing signs of depression and refused to leave the house dressed as a boy. The day I let her go to school in girl clothes, she was happier than I had seen in a very long time. The kids were great, and the teachers were awesome. But then the kids went home and told their parents, and they weren't so great after that. Adult bigotry had influenced them. We lost most of our friends and some of our family.
Oh, God.
We basically went into hiding for about a year while my daughter grew out her hair to look like the girl that she is. When we emerged again, it was with a very happy and confident daughter. When I tell our daughter's story, I hear the same uninformed comments over and over again, so I'd like to address a few of those now. 1.
Real quick. Parents, if there are any in chat, or any who watched this video, this ends up becoming a segment, you don't have to understand it. You don't even have to agree with it. But if you love your children, as you claim, I love my child more than anything in the world and I'd do anything for them. I would live for my child and die for my child. Yeah? Love your kid enough to be trans. Let them be who they really are. Let them wear dresses. Or if they're a girl and they feel like a boy on the inside, let them cut their hair. Let them wear t-shirts and jeans. Vans. Hopefully Vans. Hopefully they have good taste. I don't know what age would be okay with me, but I feel like there's a relatively young age that is understandable and appropriate to where if they need their breasts removed to be more like a guy, so fucking be it. Because the fact of the matter is that they are not a fucking clone of you. They are their own person with their own feelings and their own thoughts, some of which you will never understand. If you are not trans yourself and you have a trans child, let alone any trans person you might ever come across in outside of your family or your loved ones, you could never know, just like I could never know what it's like on the inside for that trans person, you know? So really, from that standpoint, who the fuck am I to judge? And who the fuck am I to try and dictate what they think, what they feel, who they are? I have no place. I have no right. And neither do you, especially with your kids. My message to parents is grow the fuck up. Ain't about you anymore. Especially with something as life-altering and deeply impactful as this subject. It definitely isn't. And it is all about them. Who gives a fuck what anyone says? They're gonna wear that dress and they're gonna wear them sneakers and jeans, and you're gonna be fucking proud. If you love your kids.
We are liberals pushing a gay agenda. Nope, sorry, I'm a conservative Southern Baptist Republican from Alabama.
Whoa.
Nope, sorry, I'm a conservative Southern Baptist Republican from Alabama.
Wow.
2, we, or at least I, because they always blame the mom, wanted a girl, so we turned our child into one. Again, no, I desperately wanted boys. The idea of raising a girl in today's world scares me to death. I'd much rather be responsible for raising a good boy who knows how to treat girls well than to be responsible for raising a girl who might only be interested in dating bad boys. 3, kids have no idea what they want or who they are. My kid wants to be a dog. Should I let him? That's up to you, but I wouldn't. There's a profound difference between wanting to be something in imaginary play and in declaring who you are insistently, consistently, and persistently. Those are the 3 markers that set transgender children apart, and my daughter displayed all of them. 4, kids shouldn't have to learn about sex at such a young age. Well, I agree, so it's a good thing that being transgender has nothing to do with sex. Gender identity is strictly how a person views him or herself on the inside, and it is completely separate from who we are attracted to.
Yep.
5, transgender people are perverts and shouldn't be in the bathroom with normal people. I don't know what you go into a bathroom to do, but I know what my daughter goes in there for, and it isn't to look around. It's to go into a stall, lock the door, and pee where no one else can see her.
Yeah.
Number 6, God hates transgender people. They are sinners and going to hell. My God taught us to love one another. Jesus sought out those who others rejected. Some people choose to embrace biblical verses that appear to say transgender people are being wrong. I choose to focus on verses like 1 Samuel 16:7, which says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not consider his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. My daughter is a girl in her heart. She knows it. God knows it. And that's good enough for me.
So I guess.
Wow. Oh, wow. It's, you know, wow. Oh, shit. Conservative Southern Baptist. Wow. That's something you do not see every day. Wow. That is a good parent. That's a good mom.
An outfit called Gender Inc. I'm not sure. I don't know really much about it. I just somehow on Twitter somehow got to that speech and that moment where she's with her daughter, you know, and a state lawmaker wants to know, you know, what genitals her daughter has.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, and the smug attitude when she leans back in her chair like that, and then watch that speech, right?
Right.
It's just crazy to me. And Republicans say that the left is the one that's giving safe harbor
No.
to pedophiles. I mean, you're the one questioning a 14-year-old about their genitals.
Republicans
in
want
public,
to
and
have
that's traumatizing.
Yeah, Republicans want to have your child's genitals inspected before they go play soccer.
I just remember when I was in 5th grade and I'd always liked girls, you know? And I remember in 5th grade there was Tyler. I didn't really know why, but Tyler was just so cool, you know? I always wanted to hang out with Tyler. And it was like there was no holding back anymore. And I remember kissing Tyler on the cheek. I just really liked Tyler, you know? I didn't know why. And then the next day at school, all over school, Josh is a bag. Replace the B with an F. And I did everything I could after that to not like boys anymore. I don't think my dad ever knew either about that. I don't think he knows now, but shit like that, you know, is just so much. It's so much. It's too much. No kid should ever have to go through that, you know.